receptions, and even official functions. Given their transience, the only constant in the education of John Quincy was his father, one of the major intellects of his time and a leading figure in the American Enlightenment. As they lived their lives, John and John Quincy nourished each other emotionally and intellectually as one and then the other took his place at the center of national politics and diplomacy. Theirs was a relationship unique in American history. John Adams was born on October 19, 1735, in Braintree, Massachusetts, to John and Susanna Boylston Adams. John, the elder, was a farmer and cordwainer by vocation and a prominent member of the community, serving as a deacon in the local Congregationalist church and holding several offices in the civil government and militia. His great-grandfather, Henry Adams, had immigrated to Massachusetts Bay Colony from Braintree, Essex, England, around 1638. Susanna, 20 years younger than her husband, was the daughter of a prominent Massachusetts family. The Adamses revered their Puritan forefathers, but embraced a more liberal theology that rejected notions of predestination and irredeemable sin. But as John later recalled, his parents held every species of libertinage in contempt and horror, continually warning their children against the evils of sexual promiscuity, drunkenness, and sloth. Young John relished the outdoor life he experienced as a child on the family's 50-acre farm, but his parents envisioned a larger world for their eldest son. His father found farming laborious and monotonous. Both of his grandfathers had attended Harvard College, and they intended that John would follow in their footsteps. The boy attended Braintree's Latin school until his tutors deemed him ready for admission to college. At age 15, terrified, he survived the grueling admission interview. Steeped in the classics and in moral and natural philosophy, John graduated in 1755, ranked 14th out of his class of 25. John's parents wanted him to become a minister. He thought otherwise. The ordeal of the Reverend Lemuel Bryant, whose liberal theological views had prompted his conservative congregation to put him on trial in Deacon Adams's parlor, was burned into John's memory. Bryant's persecution aside, the younger Adams had on his own come to have grave doubts concerning the received Calvinist doctrines of New England's Congregationalist establishment. The doctrine of innate human depravity and predestination struck him as spiritually absurd and contrary to the teachings of the New Testament. By his early 20s, he had embraced Unitarianism, whose followers rejected both the Trinity and the divinity of Christ. This is not to say that he was not a believer. He was, and his faith in a loving God sustained him through incredible trials and tribulations. The very existence of the universe, its surprising diversity amidst uniformity, was in itself proof of a grand design. He believed that humans were born with an innate moral sense, and that the function of religion was to cultivate and sharpen that sense. Without religion, this world would be something not fit to be mentioned in polite company, he would observe to Thomas Jefferson. But if not the ministry, what then? The law seemed a likely means to achieve a decent living and to play a prominent role in the public life of the colony. But the elder Adams, like many of his class and vocation, regarded attorneys as either shysters or predators, so John accepted a position teaching Latin in Worcester, a town some 50 miles west of Boston. He took an immediate dislike to his new life, and in 1756 he persuaded James Putnam, Worcester's leading lawyer, to tutor him for 2 years. Adams's studies completed, his father invited him to return home to Braintree, where at the time there was no practicing attorney. The town was part of the Greater Boston legal district, and it was there that the younger Adams would have to be admitted to the bar. The dean of Boston's legal community, Jeremiah Gridley, agreed to examine him. John